I'm Corva Coleman. The Labor Department has released the unemployment report for September. The national jobless rate dropped 0.1% to 7.2%. But the number of new jobs created in September was 148,000. That's lower than some economists had predicted. Economist Scott Brown is with Raymond James & Associates.
We're continuing to add jobs at a pretty good clip, actually. If we were at full employment, the economy would be looking pretty good here. But we're still not making up for much of the ground that was lost during the labor market during the downturn.
The September unemployment report was delayed by 2 weeks because of the partial government shutdown. A new survey suggests holiday shoppers in the U.S. plan to spend more this year. And as NPR's Dave Mattingly reports, most say they'll be shopping online.
The holiday shopping season kicks into high gear next month, and Chief Retail Analyst Allison Paul with Deloitte says consumers appear ready to spend.
This year, we found that consumers are optimistic. They say that they're going to spend about 8% more or intend to spend 8% more than they did last year, which is a good sign.
And Paul says the convenience of shopping online has really taken hold.
Discounters, the big stores, were number one for years and years. And this year, the Internet is the number one choice of consumers.
Shoppers say on average they're planning to spend $421 on holiday gifts this year. Dave Mattingly, NPR News, Washington.
Western and Arab foreign ministers are meeting in London to try to lay the ground for peace talks on Syria next month. NPR's Philip Reeves reports Secretary of State John Kerry is taking part.
Kerry and 10 other ministers are meeting with the Syrian opposition. They'll argue it's vital to take part in the peace talks planned in Geneva next month. But there are complications. A leading opposition group, the Syrian National Council, threatens to boycott the conference because it doesn't want to negotiate with Syria's Bashar al-Assad. UK Foreign Minister William Hague says the issue will dominate today's meeting.
Assembling a peace conference in Geneva with the participation of the regime and the opposition is the main focus of our discussion today.
Hague says the peace conference is the only way to end Syria's tragic and bloody conflict. Philip Reeves, NPR News, London.
The strike against San Francisco's mass transit rail system is over. Managers and unionized workers for the BART system hammered out an agreement overnight. It ends the 4-day strike that's hobbled some 400,000 commuters in the Bay Area. Details of the tentative contract were not released. Managers and workers have been negotiating for months, and the union staged a strike last July for a week. Over the weekend, 2 transit workers were struck and killed by a BART train. Inspectors say it'll take months to learn whether the strike played any role in the weekend accident. You're listening to NPR News from Washington. 21 members of the Arizona Air National Guard, including a colonel, have been charged with defrauding the government out of more than $1 million. Fronteras desk reporter Michelle Marisco reports from Tucson.
Arizona Attorney General Tom Horn said the 8 officers and 13 enlisted lied about where they lived in order to draw higher salaries.
Some of them received 4 to 5 times the salary that they would normally receive.
They are accused of falsifying home addresses outside of the Tucson area and using those to draw money meant for deployed service members. The allegations stem from 2007 to 2010 and total about $1.4 million. They all worked for a reconnaissance group that operated Predator drones in Iraq and Afghanistan. The 21 will be arraigned Friday. For NPR News, I'm Michelle Marisco in Tucson.
Mexican authorities are sheltering thousands of people on the country's Pacific coast. Hurricane Raymond is just offshore, and it's got top sustained winds of about 115 miles per hour. John Cangelosi is a specialist with the National Hurricane Center. He says Raymond is lurking just off the coast.
We don't think that there'll be much motion really with the system throughout the day-to-day. It's been nearly stationary for really the past maybe day or so. We think it'll kind of stay there.
That means Raymond probably will not come ashore, but the outer bands of the storm are pouring rain on an area that got hit with another hurricane just a month ago. Firefighters in southern Australia are working to contain dozens of wildfires burning in the country's most populous state. 1 person has died and more than 200 homes have been destroyed. I'm Corva Coleman, NPR News in Washington.
Support for NPR